Okay. We are talking about the method study, which is primarily used to improve the way by which things are done, methodology, procedures for doing the different kind of jobs, so that the economy in terms of the efforts, resources, time, cost, etc., can be realized. We have talked about the different basic steps, starting from selection of job to the recording, then critical examination, developing, and then implementation, follow-up, or maintenance, etc. So, in last lecture also, I talked little bit about the kind of recording techniques which are used. So there are two major group of the recording techniques. Recording of the event or the activity or the procedure which is to be improved is extremely crucial, because once the proper accurate the record of the activity has been developed, thereafter it can be used for the analysis purpose for the improvement. If the record or the data is not factual, recorded data is not factual, then our subsequent steps will also not be that useful, or even an entire method study may not be that useful. So recording is very crucial. Correct and accurate recording using the suitable procedure is extremely crucial in method study. So there are two types of the recording techniques. uh, Two broad group of the recording techniques. One is you can say the charts, and another is the diagrams. So again, as I said earlier, there are two types of the charts. One category belongs to those which are drawn without any time scale, and there is another category in which the different activities and events are shown in charts on common time scale, so that interrelationship between the various activities can be identified, and if there is any overlap or ineffective time, then that also can be established to see how effectively these events and activities can be managed. Another group of the recording technique is about the flow diagrams. So flow diagrams are usually not on the time scale. They are primarily used to show the movement of the various subjects, maybe in form of man, material, or machine. So this includes like a flow diagram, string diagram, cycle graph, chronocycle graph, etc. There are two types of the recording techniques. One is the chart, and another is the diagram. There are others also, but these two are primarily used. So these charts are primarily used to study the sequence of various steps related with the production of a job or procedure, while the diagrams are primarily associated with the movement of the various subjects, and the diagram primarily used as a supplement to the charts, because where how much movement is taking place, probably charts cannot show very explicitly and clearly. So the diagrams are used to supplement the charts for the sake of clarity and better analysis. As far as the chart is concerned, as I said, there are the two types of the charts. One is which are drawn on the common time scale, and these charts are like multiple activity chart, and there is a SIMO chart, simultaneous motion study chart, and those which are drawn on the no time scale. There are many, like outline process chart, flow process chart, then two hand process chart. This is commonly known as THPC. Okay. On the other hand, the diagrams are many, including like flow diagram, string diagram, then cycle graph, and chronocycle graph. Chronocycle graph, apart from the films also. Okay. So this is about the broader group of the techniques and the purpose for which they are used. Uh, now I will come into the specific type of the charts and how those are developed. So whether it is the diagram or the chart, for the sake of clarity, a few standard symbols are used. Standard symbols are used so that for the recording purpose we use charts. Charts show primarily sequence, and these charts are of the two types, on time scale and without time scale. And charts with a time scale are like MAC and SIMO chart, and without time scale like outline process chart, flow process chart, and two-hand process chart, right? And the diagrams among the recording techniques, the another technique is like the diagrams, which are primarily used to show the movements. And the diagrams are of different types: flow diagram, string diagram, cycle graph, films, chronocycle graph. Okay. And in these recording techniques, we don't use we don't use words to describe a situation, rather symbols are used. So when we use the symbols, and these symbols are very standard in nature, so these act as a shorthand writing. Okay, so very quickly you can record the event, and when you just use symbols, these are easy to understand. Okay, so easy understanding and quick in writing, and because of this it saves a lot of time in recording the events when the extensive activities, lengthy activities need to be recorded. So here basically whatever the activities are being done during a particular job or procedure, those are recorded, say using the various symbols, and these are categorized in different ways, like say, so the principal activities which are used in any job are like operation. This is one, and it is represented by symbol O. Okay, and another activity is inspection, and this is represented by a symbol square like this. Okay, and these are and apart from this, there are many other activities like transport. So these are the principal activities, and others and other activities are like you can say the second grade activities, which we don't want in any procedure or any operation. So efforts are made to reduce their proportion. So the transport is one. It indicates the movement of the subject, maybe man, material, machine, and it is represented by a symbol like this arrow. Okay, then the fourth activity is a temporary storage. Temporary storage. This is this is also known as a delay. Okay, the delay is shown by the capital letter D of this kind. And the fifth and the last activity is permanent storage. Permanent storage. So this permanent storage is represented by this triangle like this. Okay, this is inverted equilateral triangle. So regarding the definition and the meaning of these symbols and what is interpreted how and what is their significance in the method study, that is what I will talk now. So any job or any procedure is to be broken down into these 5 activities for analysis in connection with the method study, and that is why it is important that we clearly understand the significance and meaning of these. Okay, so as far as the operation is concerned, in case of the operation, this is one of the most important and required step or activity in any kind of the job, because in this case this will be bringing in the change in size, shape, finish, in material properties, or any activity which is helping in completion of the job or bringing the job closer to the completion. So the one simple thing is like the job is modified, it is changed in terms of size, shape, finish, etc., so that the job is closer towards the completion. Okay, so basically it helps in bringing the job closer to completion. Okay, so this is one thing. The second is like there likewise in the official work there can be number of other things, like something is being received, so receiving, and then you can say calculating, planning. All these also can be considered as a part of the operation. Okay, so these this is the purpose actually. Whenever the operation is performed, you will see that the job is progressing towards the completion. Okay, the second is, so this is basically the purpose of anything. It will be helping in completion of the job or bringing it closer to the completion. Inspection is the another one. You know that whether you use the vernier caliper or you use the UTM, universal testing machine, or hardness tester, or any other thing, any other measuring device, that will primarily be used to check if the quality is right or if the quantity is right, simply counting. So this is done primarily to check if there is any human, procedural, or machine error. So just for error detection we are doing the inspection, and if we find that things are fine, then it will be moved ahead, otherwise it will be reworked or rejected as per the case. So what if everything is fine, say there is no human error, there is no procedure or procedural problem, or there is no machine problem, so we don't need, there won't be any quality or quantity related issues, so we don't need to do the check or the inspection. So basically this is considered to be as a redundant activity, and it can be eliminated if our the different events, different resources involved in the procedure are working correctly, then there won't be any need to do the inspection. So if the workers are working fine, procedure is perfect, machine is perfect, or anything that can affect the quality or quantity, if that is working fine, then there won't be any requirement of inspection. So efforts are always made to eliminate or reduce the number of inspections so that the time consumed in this process can be eliminated or reduced. Okay, one more thing, it doesn't help, inspection does not help in bringing a job closer to the completion. It is just a checking, it's a redundant activity closer to the completion. So something which is not helping a job, bringing it closer to the completion, then that should be eliminated. Okay, so this is the inspection. Next is the transport. Transport is about the movement of man, material, machines during the entire procedure which is being followed in course of the production. Okay, so however it doesn't consider the movement of the man or material during the operation, like the position of the job is to be changed in number of ways during the inspection or in the operation, or little movement is taking place during the operation, or you can say while holding the job, the little movement is holding or fixing it on the jigs and fixtures. Little movement which is taking place in the material will not be falling under the transport. So whatever the movement of the man or the material or machine is taking place during the operation itself, that will not be considered under the transport. Okay, so movement during the inspection and operation are not considered under the transport. Okay, so this is the third one. Fourth one is interesting. This is temporary storage. Temporary storage, this is also called a delay. Like the material is received and it is waiting for inspection, or the material has been processed at one station and it is waiting for further processing on the second station. So whenever it is like the waiting, so for the waiting, material is kept aside and it will be waiting until its turn comes in for further processing. Okay, material is kept aside, and this kind of the temporary storage is completely unauthorized. So unauthorized storage or the delay or temporary storage is about like waiting of the material in queue for further processing or the inspection. Okay, so putting aside or waiting for the inspection are the typical examples related with the temporary storage. It is represented by the letter D. Then there is a permanent storage. Permanent storage is represented by this inverted equilateral triangle, and here what it is used when the material is stored under authorization, or it is kept under control at a specific place, so that it is not misplaced or it is not lost in the process. So so there is some kind of authorization, material is issued against the receipt or something, or there is a well documented record of this will be kept here at this place and it will be under the supervision. So that is the kind of the permanent storage. In both the cases, both are the storage only, and this is just like the wastage of the time, because nothing will be done when it is in storage, or it is in being transported, or it is being inspected, or it is under the permanent storage. So these are the various activities which are needed many times to follow the sequence, but these will be considered as a negative activities, because these will be simply increasing the time required to complete the job. So efforts are always made to eliminate each and every activity other than operation, and sometimes inspection is done at the end. That is the best situation. So efforts are always made to eliminate this transport, permanent storage or temporary storage. Okay, sometimes in an effort to cut down the time, what we see, like let us combine certain activities. So when activities are combined, like say the operation and inspection are clubbed, inspection are clubbed together, then what we can do, inspection and then you can show the operation both. So if this is the kind of thing which is done, like when the facing is being done, the diameter is measured of the cylindrical job, like that. So when the activities are combined, they are shown like this. Then coming to the outline process chart. So these are the various symbols which are used for developing the various charts and the diagrams. Okay, not all these charts are there are few additional symbols. There is a huge range of other symbols which are used in charting, but certainly not in the macro level studies. Macro level studies where the job is done, say like in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, 2 hours, 5 days, etc. So those are the macro level studies, and there these 5 types of the symbols are used. Okay, delay and then storage. Okay, but there is another kind of the job analysis which is called Therbalix, and it was developed by Gilbreth. It was a scientist. This is the opposite of this. Gilbreth was the person who had developed these micro level activities or symbols for analyzing the short cycled jobs. It's just like a search. So find, grasp, so then hold, then move. So these are this is another category of the symbols or the activities which are used for study of short cycled jobs. Okay, and SIMO chart is developed using these activities. Okay, so now I'll be talking. So these are for macro level activities, right? So now I'll be talking about this the first that's the outline process chart. Outline process chart is commonly known as OPC. This chart is really very simple, and it gives us the bird's eye view of the situation. So like one tire manufacturing company, right from receiving the raw material to the end finished product, what are the various stages, major stages, if that is to be shown, then the outline process chart is used. Similarly, where what is happening, everything can be shown in one chart, all major events can be shown in one chart. If that is to be done, then outline process chart is used. If we start describing each and every activity which is being done, then probably we need hundreds of the pages of the charts for developing this, but that will not be a bird's eye view, that will be the very detailed view of the situation. Whenever we need the bird's eye view, like you see the Delhi from a height of say 5 kilometers, so you will see the very clear picture. If you see the Delhi near the Connaught Place from a height of say 200 meters, you will see some kind of clarity near the Connaught Place zone, but not over the entire Delhi where what is happening. So depending upon the height, depending upon the distance, you may find like everything is fine in Connaught Place, but in far away places from the Connaught Place, there is a lot of disturbance or a lot of things are happening in. So that you cannot show if you are seeing it from the closer distance. Okay. So bird's eye view will be giving the more clearer picture of the entire bigger situation. So, and that is why it uses the two major activities. These are operation and inspection only. So in outline process chart, we primarily use the operation and the inspection only. It doesn't show the transport or storage or the delay kind of the activities. Okay, so it gives the bird's eye view or overall picture of a situation. It doesn't give idea about where, how and who is doing all these jobs. Idea is to tell what are the major operations and inspection stages associated with this. Okay, so here next is the outline process chart. So in outline process chart, I'll show you basically one PPT. There are 3-4 slides. Okay, so what we do basically, if you take any simple job like this, okay, say so here the job diameter is say 12 mm, its diameter is to be reduced to the 10 mm, right? Its length is say 50 mm and it is to be brought down to 45 mm. Then a hole is to be drilled. Then so this needs the drilling, and then tapping is to be done. Okay, so there will be a particular sequence of all these operations which need to be done. So start like the turning, facing, drilling, tapping. So these are say 4 operations. Okay, and you identify at which stage you will be performing the inspection, at after final diameter or final length is realized, after drilling the hole, after the tapping, or at which stage the inspection is to be done. So just one inspection of the final finished product, or after the drilling, or after the turning and facing. So that is to be identified. So there will be just one inspection, there may be 2 or 3 inspections as per the need and the criticality. So just identify. So what we do basically, so these are the 5 operations. Say just for an example, let us identify something. First do the turning, okay, then do the drilling, then do the tapping, right? And then facing is the fourth operation. And if you identify, okay, after turning and drilling, you will be doing inspection 1, okay, and after tapping and facing, you will be doing the inspection 2, right? So this is the second inspection. So let's develop a outline process chart for this one only. So for making this job, what are the different things that we need in? So let's take, it is always started like this, okay. In any case, we'll be starting this way. Say, start with a vertical line on the right side like this, okay. So the first operation is turning, okay. So this you can write here as a turning 1. We are not writing turning, but it is in the description, so here you may write it as a 1, okay. Then after turning, you perform the drilling, so this is the operation 2. After drilling, you perform the check if it is fine, so this is the inspection 1. Then after the inspection, you perform the tapping, so inspection 3, operation 3, that is the tapping. So just for your turning, and then this is drilling, and this is inspection, and this is your tapping, okay. And after this tapping, this we have the inspection. After tapping, we have the inspection. So we have missed something. Oh no, we have after tapping we have facing actually. So let me erase this. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so this is fourth, facing, and after the facing, the job is done. So let us check it once again. So in this process, we have 2 inspections, 1 and 2, and 4 operations, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you see, the proportion of the operation is still better as compared to the inspection. So this is certainly better thing. So out of, like say, the 4 plus 6, so 4 by 6 is the kind of the effective activities that need to be done, and they are actually being done. So that's how you can check in. If 4 out of 10 there were, so there is a scope of eliminating at least 6 remaining 6, and here there is a scope of eliminating the remaining 2. So this indicates what is the proportion of the actual operations as compared to the other activities that are required to be done, but those can be eliminated if the proper development, proper study is performed. Okay, this is the simplest case. Let's say after drilling a hole, something is to be assembled, and that assembled part also need to be manufactured. So say another part requires an operation. First, let's say again turning, another component requires again turning, so that will be the operation 5. Then after turning, it requires say facing, okay, so operation 6. Then it requires inspection, then it requires external threading, okay, 7. And after this external threading, again it is inspected, okay. So this was 3rd inspection, right? So this is 4th inspection, this is 5th inspection, and we have to see now it is assembled here. So we will be putting in symbol like this. So likewise, there may be anything else also which can be fabricated. All the major operations and inspections are shown, and then they are assembled with the, so this is the main part whose fabrication will be shown, then the second main component, then third main component, like this they are shown, right? So the OPC is primarily used to show the where number of parts to be assembled to come up with the one major component. So there you have to show what are the different operations and inspections to be carried out in the main component or in some other sub components related with the major assembly. This is how it is made. Apart from this, so this is how the sequencing of the operations and inspection is done. So operation 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the second part operation is being done. So that is 5, 6, 7, and likewise we'll continue. Okay. If more operations are needed after this assembly, then here it will be, let's say, here it will be next operation is 8, and the final inspection is say 9. Right, final inspection is 6. So this is how the numbering will be done. Okay, so we'll not be getting again into this. I just want to show you something about this. The method of making. Start with the vertical line downwards in the right side of the page to show the operation and inspection on the product. And the time is allowed, yeah, that I have missed. Time is allowed is mentioned on the left side of the each operation only, and no time is mentioned with the inspection. So while in the right side we can write the details of each operation and inspection. Operation and inspections are numbered in a particular way. So just like this, the facing and turning 1, the parting of the 2, the face the opposite side 2. So this is how the time is also mentioned. Like we can mention the time in the left side of this the operations only. Okay, so that is what is mentioned somewhere here. Okay, along this left side of these symbols. Then inspection, no time is mentioned in the first inspection. Then say structural milling for flat surfaces, removal of the burrs, etc. Final inspection. This is just like making something. The outline process chart is shown. This is one case where simple part is being made. Okay, let's say this is one typical part, this typical assembly having 3 parts. Okay, so this is part 1, this is part 2, and this is part 3. Okay, part 1 is the spindle, part 2 is plastic molding, and part 3 is stop pin. Just for example, let's take. So the spindle is the main part. Okay, spindle is the main part. So what is being done? The operation 1 and then corresponding time it takes, then operation 2 corresponding time, then inspection, first inspection, no time, then operation 3rd, operation 4th, inspection 2nd, operation 5th, operation 6th. So again these time values are mentioned, and then the no time for this. Okay, then after this steel spindle operation, the plastic molding is made. So say this the resin molding, operation 1 and operation 2 requiring time, these times, and then after this it is checked if it is perfect or not, this plastic molding. So this is the inspection 4, and it is assembled. This plastic mold is assembled here. Okay, so thereafter so this is shown like assembly using this 9. Okay, so the plastic molding is assembled with the steel, and it is shown with this symbol this. So next operation is this 9. Okay, so here we were there up to the 8, and after this assembly the 3rd part is to be made, say stop pin. So stop pin, the one operation 10, operation 11, no inspection, no time, and then operation 12, operation 13, again inspection. Okay, and then again it is assembled here. So first the spindle is made, then plastic molding is assembled here, and then the stop pin is assembled here, and then final assembly for the inspection. So what we are showing here, like the different operations needed in the 3 different components, and where at which stage these will be assembled, and how much time roughly they will take, what is the proportion of the operations and the inspection. Okay, so So this is the same thing what I have shown. The flow process chart FPC is another very useful chart. It shows the sequence of various events of job or procedure in greater detail with the description than the OPC. OPC showed just inspection and the operation, while it shows the entire range of the activities which are being done. So this is in much greater detail, and that is why it cannot be for the entire range of the operations being performed for manufacturing a particular product, but it can be used to show the details of individual part or component, because it is in greater detail. So if you will start showing the flow process chart for entire range of the assemblies, then it will be running in hundreds of the pages, so which may not be a good idea for the analysis purpose. So it is good that FPC, flow process chart, is made for the individual components, so that it can show the flow of man, material or machine during the production or manufacturing of that particular component or the part which is being made. FPC is of three types: FPC man, FPC material, or FPC machine or equipment. FPC of equipment. So when FPC for man is made, it describes like what worker does, like the ram drills a hole or cuts the plate like this, while in case of the FPC of material type, what we mention that how the material is processed or treated. For example, the hole is drilled, the steel is hardened, or steel is cut. So for man type, primarily we use active voice for describing a situation, while for man or material type FPC, we use the passive voice to describe a situation, like the material is cut, or the lathe is operated, a lathe is running, or the drilling machine is used, like this. So for man and for material and for machine flow process charts, we use the passive voice to describe the situation, while active voice is used when the flow process chart man type is developed. Similarly, the how equipment or the machine is operated. Okay, so that is what is used in case of the FPC for the machine. So as I said, it shows the entire range of the activity, means FPC will be using all those symbols: operation, inspection, transport, the delay and the storage, since it is in greater detail. So it can be now used to see, when you have got the complete picture with all these activities, you can easily quantify what is the proportion of time actually being used in productive manner, and what is the proportion of time actually not being used for doing anything. So all these delays, storages or transportation, nothing is being done as such with the job. So these are like a non-productive activities. These may be important for completion of the job, but these will be considered as a non-productive activities. Okay, so efforts will be made whenever we get the clear picture with all these of a situation or of a flow of material or manufacturing, flow of material or man or the machine during a particular operation for the analysis, we can see where is the possibility of combining the certain things, where is the possibility for eliminating the certain activities, or what can be done, like say if it can be elimination, combining, or simplification. So these can be done only if we have greater clarity with regard to the different steps and events being done to do a particular job. Okay, so I think this is all about the idea of the flow process chart. In the next lecture, I'll take up one example and the way by which the flow process chart is developed. Okay, so that's it for the day, and next time I'll talk with about the things related to the flow process chart of man, material, machine, or equipment type, and how it is developed. Okay, so that's it from my side for